Awesome.
How you going, dude?
Yeah, very good, thanks. Thanks for having me on the show.
On the show.
Or on your new podcast.
Or whatever this is. All right,
Yeah.
cool. I want to talk about business. That's what I want to ask you. I haven't asked you yet.
Business, that's very
because I've been saving it.
Okay.
So you started a business
Yeah, so
and you've just sold shares.
I've
right?
sold my shares in it, yes.
Crazy.
So it was essentially just a custom software business where we went to potential clients and said, okay, how can we automate your business? How can we streamline certain workflows and, you know, make your company more efficient? That's basically what our essential foundation was on. But we ended up spanning into all sorts of things like web design.
Software streamlining.
Software development, yeah.
Right, okay.
Custom software catered to your needs, if you like, yeah.
Yeah, right. So what sort of jobs did you end up doing through that?
Well, I was in charge of the sales and marketing aspect of the business.
Were you cold calling?
I was cold calling.
Oh, damn.
I was cold calling.
Alright, tell me all about that.
I was cold calling and cold emailing, going to lots of networking events. Yeah. Unfortunately, Perth, we're based in Perth, by the way, guys, how you doing? Unfortunately, Perth is quite a small city. So there's not a lot of networking opportunities. Great city, lovely place to live, but it's not very densely populated and there's not room for a lot of sort of creative tertiary sectors. So it's quite hard to find people to actually network with and talk with. So that in itself was quite challenging. But my partners, Tom and Caitlin, they were both coders and testers. So they were the
software
program
development.
Yeah.
So what was the program called and what did it do?
The program we didn't have a specific program.
Right, so
we did custom software. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So we'll go to a client, we'll talk about what it is they wanted. Either they have an idea or we'll have a conversation with them and see, okay, maybe we can sort this out for you. And then we'll go away and code it up and it'll become theirs, really.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So how long do you do this for?
I did it for 2.5 years.
2.5 years. While you're at uni?
While I was at uni.
So part-time
study. More like full-time neglection of uni and full-time...
full-time neglection of uni.
Yeah.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. And part-time trying to run a business. Or running the business, I should say. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So as well as like sales, were you involved in like a ton of like, you know, managing day-to-day stuff?
Oh, absolutely.
While these guys were coding?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, there's, you know, when you forget, you know, when you run a business, there's so many aspects to it. You know, there's the legalities of it.
Nightmares. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, we had to set up we decided to become incorporated, meaning that we're our company. It's called Who Solutions. It becomes its own legal entity.
Yeah.
Which makes us as individuals not liable. To anything.
Yeah.
So if the company went down, then we as individuals will not be affected. Exactly. Yeah. So the company almost becomes its own person in a way.
Right.
So that in itself required having, you know, to set up an ASIC account, which is the Australian Securities and Investment Commission, and
do you have a
pay fees for that, and then there's accounts as well.
Did you have an accountant?
No.
A business accountant?
No.
Ooh, baby.
So all our own bookkeeping. I mean, we have to.
So you did all bookkeeping as well.
A little bit, yeah.
That's a mission, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I'm quite lucky because my dad ran companies before, so I always just used to go to him for advice. Right. Or he still runs his own business as well. So I've been very lucky in that sense.
So what sort of stuff does your dad do then? What have you learned off him, like business-wise?
Business.
Like, so what sort of companies does he run? Like, is it like software?
No, he's in recruitment.
Okay.
And he's in recruitment and sort of people resourcing. So
right. Okay. Human resources.
So he was a social worker originally, and when we moved back to the UK in 1998, he went to get a job at a recruitment agency who recruited social workers. And then he ended up, bugger it, and he managed to sort of talk his way into that company instead. And before he knew it, he was working in recruitment. And so he was working in a recruitment company, and and he worked his way up into like a managerial position and was smashing sales. And then he thought, bugger it, I'm doing all this work for the company, I'm making the company all this money, I might as well have my own business and keep the value, in my, actually own the value of it.
Yeah, that's it.
So he broke off and set up his own company, and that was quite successful.
Yeah.
The GFC in 2008 took a bit of a toll on it because the government in the UK was cutting its expenditure, and so they weren't hiring as many social workers because he was in social work recruitment.
Right.
So that took a massive hit.
Old recession.
And he actually ended up having to sell his shares, and then we moved back here to Perth, and he set up another company in Perth.
Back to Perth.
And now he's in Melbourne. And he's restructuring his business completely now. But going back to what you said, what I mainly learned from him was, I don't know, I guess it was probably the critical thinking aspect of the business, like breaking down problems, writing up lists of things to do, because that's what business is really when you're first starting out, and even when you're running it, you're going to go, okay, what do I need to do to get this off the ground? And you literally write a list and you go through that list, and then within that list compiles more lists. It's like a tree of lists, if you like, and you're just ticking things off as you go, one by one. That's literally how it is.
It's a mind map, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's a massive mind map. It's like an ontological mind map of everything. And when you get those things done, you have to make decisions. You go, all right, can I get that done, or do I need to bring on a partner to get that done for me, or do I have to not hire do I have to outsource exactly to get that bit done? And that's essentially what it is. And I sort of learnt my problem solving I learnt how to sort of solve problems through him. And the boring stuff that you don't think about business when you're first setting up. So things like accounting, obviously, and legalities and shareholders agreements. Contracts.
There's so much stuff.
Making sure
there's so much paperwork.
Oh, 100%. And also, you've got to be careful as well in your contracts, depending on what product or service you're delivering. You've got to make sure that there's no loose screws in the work you do, especially with software like license transfers,
because software can just fuck up, can't it?
Oh, exactly.
And then you're going to come back and fix it 2 years later.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. So usually in the software field, if you're developing custom software for a client, the client would always expect you to be in a contract with them where you're continually maintaining their systems. And in which case you have to add another fee onto that, which puts them off completely. Clients run away when they decide when they actually see the reality of how expensive software is to create, mainly from the time consumption of the actual coding of it as well. But there's so much to it as well. You've got back-end databases, you've got front-end design, and then there's all the testing to make sure that there's no bugs in the code so the actual systems run well.
So you're out of that?
I'm out of that now, yeah. A few reasons. Perth's in a bit of a recession at the moment.
Slow?
Yeah, very slow.
Business is slow.
Well, the thing is...
So you're finishing a philosophy degree?
That's right, yeah.
And then you're going to go to London?
And I'm going to go to London, yeah.
Awesome.
Something I've wanted to do for years now. But I've sort of convinced myself to stay in Perth and do various other ventures. I had another venture before the custom software one.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So that was now that was the real baby. That was something I was really, really passionate about. So I don't know if you were around sort of this community when I set it up, but
What year would it have been?
2017 we hit off. So
that would have been my first year here.
First year, yeah. So we tried to set up, me and this other partner, my partner and I tried to set up a tutoring service.
Oh, right. For uni students?
Yeah, for uni students.
Okay.
Peer-to-peer. Sort of like...
Right.
And we tried to do it based on an app where,
What was it called?
Tutoring.
Tutoroo.
Did you hear it? Have you heard of
I
that?
don't think so. No, I don't think so.
We shit posted a lot. I had a lot of fun with that marketing.
Right. Okay.
We had some really good fun with
a lot
that.
of Facebook shit posting.
Oh yeah, so much. All the stupid memes and competitions. Like the creative side of that was really fun, and also the social side of it as well. I got to go out and meet lots of people that wanted to sign up to the system. Unfortunately, it was quite annoying actually because my partner didn't have the skills we needed to actually build the app.
Oh, so it was the app that was the problem.
It was the app that was the problem, and it was ridiculous because I spent about $5,000 on all these marketing on this marketing campaign, and
without the actual
app, yeah.
Right.
And I signed up about 50 tutors.
Damn.
Yeah.
Oh, what? 50?
Yeah, 50 tutors.
So it would have been good.
Theoretically, we don't know because we never actually got to kick it off the ground. But unfortunately, I had to end it. I said to him, look, this isn't working out. I need to. We're gonna have to. Either you're gonna finish the app, or I'm gonna have to buy you out, or you're gonna have to buy me out. And so we never actually got to continue with the business. But it was really annoying though because at the beginning of July, sort of 2017, we had the study break. We had a mid-semester break of like 4 or 5 weeks, and by then my housemate Tom got on board. He was like, I just graduated, I finished my marketing degree, I've got no experience, let me come and help you, I'll work for free. I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. So
2 marketers.
Yeah, so
but
me
no
and Tom,
app developer.
Yeah, and then an old friend of mine from fresh year, Caitlin, who was a software engineer, or she was finishing up her thesis that year.
Okay.
She came on board and I said, look, my partner's really struggling, can you come in and help? But she was like, hell yeah, I want to come in and help, that sounds awesome. So she came in and actually ended up coding the entire back-end system, and my partner still couldn't deliver, and I had no idea on what to do with the software and how to manage it. I was quite convinced that my partner would be able to sort of do it, but he had no idea, and he wasn't very upfront to me about it, and I learned a lot of things from doing tutoring. And it was annoying because I was very passionate about the project because I had like a massive vision about how I wanted to sort of automate and completely revolutionise the education system. I know it sounds...
that's awesome.
Yeah,
no,
so,
I
thought that was such a good, a really good selling point and a good pitch and a really good way to sort of, rally the troops and get everyone involved. And the team we had, Tom and Caitlin and myself, they were all behind it, and we had so much fun with the marketing campaign. And we're sitting there and goes, oh yeah, we can expand once we get the app done here. We can go out and go to the eastern states and do it university by university, and then we can go to America. It'll be like one of those Silicon Valley startups kind of thing. And yeah, there was lots of excitement at the time, but unfortunately my partner couldn't deliver, and the other 2 people who were working for free, by the way, I basically had to pay them in jugs of beer from the university tavern.
And there were lots of those.
Oh, there were lots of those, yeah, and burgers and whatnot, or like chips and dip. I was literally paying them in chips and dip. But the good thing about it was they were so excited about the project that they wanted to work.
So
for
app
free.
Developing though, that's hard. That's like teams.
Oh, it is. Oh, exactly. And I knew nothing about it. I jumped in completely naive, and my partner thought he knew something about it.
Well, next time you're developing an app, or you're paying someone to develop an app.
Yeah.
It's did you say $5,000 lesson?
A $5,000 lesson.
Is that what you spend on?
Well, it's probably more like $10,000. Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, so Facebook ads are very expensive.
How to learn?
Be careful with.
Are they? Are they?
Very expensive.
I mean, so expensive. Objectively expensive, but probably undervalued as far as. So you managed to sign up a ton of customers, or some ton of tutors.
And we had really create, because I love getting creative and thinking up new ideas, and I came up with lots of other ways of marketing. So we got stickers and stuck them around campus everywhere. I made these like, I called them fun cards, like with fun mazes and just little doodly, dot to dots, those like sort of little. Yeah. Those random brain training activities that you used to do when you were a kid. We made those with the Tutoroo logo on it and the website link and everything, and threw them around the library. And I was getting lots of good feedback from it. It was like, oh wow, everyone, this is starting to become a bit of a name now. Unfortunately, so we had tutors, we had the brand, we had the name out there, we just didn't have the app. And in hindsight, I would have done things a lot more different now. Knowing what I know now, I would have gone into it a lot more sort of scientifically, a lot more sort of service focused.
Yeah, analytical. Yeah.
A bit more analytical.
Crunch those numbers.
Well, actually, it's interesting. I read a book called The Lean Startup last year.
I haven't read that one, but I have heard of it.
Yeah, it's interesting because basically it's basically applying the scientific method to starting up a company in a way. Although I'm not probably doing it justice in describing it like that, but basically they suggest you have what's called an MVP, a minimal viable product.
Yeah.
So get the most basic functional version of the product that you are trying to create, put it out in the market and test it. It can be in its most basic form, but just get something out there, test it, collect data, and then build it based on the feedback you get, or based on the data of what works of what works for the product or service. And that way you can sort of see what works, what doesn't work. And if I was to do Tutoroo again, what I would have done, rather than going, okay, let's build an app, let's do this, all this code that we know fuck all about, I would have instead created a much more basic service, where I would have created just like, say, an online booking system on a WordPress website, which would have been easy as anything.
Yeah.
And done that
and not
to start
promised
with.
any
Exactly.
extravagant.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
So no elaborate app or anything like that. Just like a basic sort of WordPress system that people can go on, create their accounts. Obviously, we vetted them quite heavily because
the tutors.
The tutors. Yeah. Like I required a high. Yeah. One thing I was very careful with was compliance. One thing that my dad's sort of experience came in handy for, because him being in the social work recruitment sector, they had to vet all their candidates very carefully, because obviously social workers is quite a very sort of important.
You got to vet them.
Yeah, you got to vet them. You want to be the
and
people,
the same, especially with uni level tutors
exactly,
as well.
yeah.
Like if they don't know what they're talking about, they can sink marks.
Exactly, and screw up our brand or screw up our service. So
and cost money.
Oh yeah, definitely. So yeah, looking back on that, I would have sort of set up a basic website with just a simple booking service and slowly developed the app.
Yeah.
With Caitlin and Tom, who ended up being my new business partners for Who. So that's basically how Who Solutions was. That's how Who Solutions was created. It came out of Tutoroo, because I ended my partnership in Tutoroo, and then Tom said, "Oh, why don't we just, see if we can be a bit of a custom software thing while we find out a new idea."
Cool.
And so we approached Caitlin and said, "What do you think?" And she goes, "Yeah, go on then," because she was working for BHP at the time and hated it. She was doing like a VAT position. Yeah, she couldn't stand it.
You hear that a lot, don't you?
Oh, there was lots of corporate bureaucracy. There was only like one scope of what she was doing, but in like custom software, she learned so much. Oh my, I owe a lot to that girl. She's incredibly intelligent and she works incredibly hard as well. So I was very upset to sort of be leaving that partnership, because what made Who was probably Tom and Caitlin. They worked incredibly hard, and they still do, and they're very, very intelligent.
Oh, that's good.
So yeah.
Right.
So hopefully I'd like to one day do something with them again, just because they're fantastic people. But we'll wait and see.
So what do you want to do in London business wise? So you told me you're finishing your degree.
Yeah.
In philosophy.
Okay. Yeah. So
flying to London.
That's right. Yeah.
And doing something in payment solutions.
Not necessarily.
I'm wrong.
So what I want to do, well, it's interesting. I'll see how I go, but I feel like I need to. I'm 25 now, and I've set up a couple of businesses. I've learned a lot from them, but I like to sort of experience something else and move forward in my life a little bit.
New place is good, isn't it? Before
setting up a new business, and I think so. What I like to do is, I'll try and get a job in like a sales position in finance and learn a bit about that, and then in 2 or 3 years down the line, then I'll look at setting up a new business. But I feel that if I'm in a place like London, a highly dense population, massive economy, lots of different sectors, that will be a very good opportunity to network and sort of establish myself. You were talking a payment solution you were talking about, you said.
You mentioned that. I don't know if you want to... That might be just the kernel still.
There's sort of a new trend emerging in the UK called challenger banks. And it's basically...
Like small banks, right?
Small, or they call them challenger banks because they are trying to, they're trying to sort of break the... Because in the UK, there's lots of banking fees. That you don't hear about.
There is here too, really.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. So they're trying to. These challenger banks are sort of breaking that. Are trying to sort of disrupt that market and say, "Hey guys, we're not going to charge you extortionate fees. We're offering you a very easy user interface to operate all your banking on and to budget. We're going to give you all these budgeting functions that you can use. We're going to give you all of these simple ways of say splitting bills with your friends." So that you can budget like that. Their mission is to basically make banking and budgeting better for the consumer, so that the consumer has more trust in the bank, and they're basically saying, look, we're not here to make money off you. We're here to help you save money or help you with your finances, and that's the challenger bank phenomenon. So I'm interested in looking into that market when I'm over there. I'm seeing what sort of ones there are. My sister currently, she lives in Cardiff in Wales. And she's working for a company called Anna, and they're basically a challenger bank but for businesses. But their specific niche is in people that run small businesses from homes, or who trade on Amazon like yourself. And they're basically like the challenger bank for businesses. When I was over there back in July, I used a banking system called Monzo, and they were really cool. Because especially when you're traveling, because my friend and I went, when we were traveling Croatia, after having dinner, it's just a simple matter of someone pays the bill and then someone goes, okay, I'll send you the split, and if you both have Monzo, it's sick.
Right. So, okay, that's interesting.
So I like to see if there's any opportunities in that market, because it's quite exciting.
We got travel to talk about as well.
Oh, okay. That,
so on the topic of budgeting, how frugal are you out of 10? Would you rate yourself?
Oh, that's interesting. Does that include alcohol?
Yes. Yeah, definitely does actually.
It depends. It depends if I'm saving up for something like
a traveling. So there has to be something specific.
Maybe, yeah, but I've always been quite frugal.
Right. If you're saving up for something specific, will you save up and put it physically in a different bank account, or physically save cash up, or will it be in your head ongoing tally of the amount of money accruing in one big bank account? I find this psychology interesting.
Okay, I'll put it in. So usually I'll have a normal bank account. I have one bank account, but it has 2 accounts in it.
Right.
So I'll put
split. Yeah.
I'll put as much of it in the savings account as I can and set aside my living expenses. But when I'm budgeting, it's interesting. This is interesting actually. When I was saving for Europe between February and May, in April I sat down and said, okay, where am I spending most of my money? And I opened up my business bank account.
It was the tab.
3 years ago, the answer would have been yes, but no, I've sort of behaved myself a bit in the last 2 years, or behaved in inverted commas. I looked on my account ledger, and what I found was, and I did a tally up of where all my money was going, and most of my money was actually going to food. And I'm not talking about, your supermarket shop or your grocery shop. I'm talking about, McDonald's, Subway, sausage rolls,
campus food,
sushi. When you tally up all that, and all my money was going to either that or alcohol. So I said, okay, or Ubers for some reason.
For some reason, can't remember why.
I can't remember what, because I don't remember being in the Ubers. That's why.
Exactly. What a good business model.
Exactly.
No one can remember being.
So I tallied it up. I was like, okay, if I stop buying food out, that's about $200 to $300 a month I'm saving. Maybe even $300 a month. So I stopped doing that and I saved about $1,000 in the space of 2 to 3 months. And then also looked at alcohol and said, okay, I'll stop buying drinks at pubs. I've got my other job at my bar anyway, so I'm not going to go out, so that's okay. I cut that out and just bought like a bottle of wine a week. Bonds Ventos, by the way, vintage sellers, $9. Very good drop. So that saved me another probably $200 a month. Because I bought cartons here and there. When you go out for a night out, 5 pints, that's $50. We're in Perth, by the way.
Yeah, that's
Perth.
easily $50. They're cheap pints too.
Exactly, yeah. So, and then Ubers. So, okay, I've got to strategize when I'm, just stop using Ubers and stop going out as much.
Carpool, yeah.
Carpool.
Going out kills,
exactly.
man. It kills people.
Exactly. So once you cut out, it's interesting. They call it the Pareto distribution or the 80-20 rule.
Right. Yeah.
So like 80% of my expenditure came from 20% of my initial of my costs, and that 20% was literally drinking and eating out. Once you take that out of the equation, you save a ton.
Yeah, heaps of money.
Yeah, but I've always been quite frugal. Apart from I very rarely buy gadgets or anything. I buy most things secondhand. I never buy clothes. Man,
going secondhand so good. I've been just smashing Gumtree recently.
Yeah.
But like strange enough, so I never thought I was that bad at saving money or anything. But just had one bank account and everything would go in and it'd slowly increase in price and then it'd stop working a bit and it'd slowly decrease.
Yeah.
But like, I read The Barefoot Investor.
Yeah.
And like the only thing I really got out of it was setting up multiple bank accounts. So I moved banks to like a no-cost bank account.
Really?
Or like ING.
Yeah.
There's no cost in any of it.
Oh, the Lion one.
And I just set up 5 bank accounts. So I've got an investment one, I've got a holiday savings one, I've got an emergency one that's basically just like, getting speeding tickets and shit like that.
Yeah.
And then I've got a daily expenses one, and I've got one for splurging. Sorry, is that 6? It might be 6. So that's just for like
splurging day, yeah.
And then everything, like every time I get paid, goes into daily expenses.
Yeah.
And then it gets split up into the others. And then so I'm doing at the moment 25% into holiday, 25% into investment, and then about 6% into emergency.
Yeah.
And then I'll mess around with daily and splurge however I like, really.
How do you need to use the emergency?
I haven't yet. It's been 6 months and I haven't yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just like slowly accruing. But like the difference that makes is insane because, on the splurge card, the one that you're tapping at the pub.
Doesn't matter, yeah.
At the end of 2 weeks, it'll go to 0 and you won't be able to buy, and you run out of money. You go, oh shit, I've actually just run out of all the money I allocated to spend.
Yeah, and then that's it.
Yeah, and it's completely guilt-free because you've already decided this is how much money I'm going to blow on dumb shit.
Yeah.
And then when you blow it, you're like, oh, fair enough, it's
that's
gone.
That's it. I'm going home now.
Or you find some change, you buy the last pint, and then go
exactly,
home.
Yeah. Find another way to entertain yourself until you get some more money.
Yeah, because it's conscious, and it doesn't make you feel like bad every time you like spend money. Exactly. Because you already know exactly how much you're allowed to spend. Like you've like.
You would love Monzo. You would love Monzo.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
I might have to look that up. Going to come to Australia actually. Interesting.
Yeah, that's super interesting. Yeah. So what are your favourite books then? Like as in, and I'm talking kind of because you mentioned the Lean Startup.
The Lean Startup.
Yeah. Right. Any other books you can recommend to me?
There's quite a few actually, but I'm just trying to think of books that have really made an influence or have really sort of inspired me. So The Lean Startup's good for sort of...
I might have to read that one.
It's good for being realistic about your business because, you can have a great idea, you can be a creative person, but not very sort of... You might not be a very good critical thinker, or you might not really know the scientific process.
Not us in philosophy.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Maybe. Ironically.
So the Lean Startup's great, I think, if you're all over the place, like your head's just a complete ontological mess of, of the solar system.
Yeah, right, okay.
And you sort of need to sort of process it into sort of a more cognitively focused assembly line of doing things. The lean startup's great for that. It's like getting how to sort of implement your creative side into a sort of and engineer it. So the lean startup's really good for that.
Super interesting.
Oh God, I'm trying to think. I swear I had a good list of books.
Have you read The 4-Hour Workweek, Tim Ferriss?
Yes.
I've
read that.
My favorite.
I've read that. Yes, that's great. That's probably the best one to start off.
It's overrated or underrated, but it's rated. It's good.
Well, look, I think it's. I think Tim Ferriss is really good for sort of telling you where to go, pointing you in the right directions. Yeah. One of those. The one thing about that book, though, is that I think that people need to realise is that all that stuff's great, and you're reading it, you get really excited, but you go, "Are you really going to do it? Are you really going to take action?"
And it is hard.
It is. I mean, it's way harder than he doesn't. He's honest about it. He said it's going to be hard, but he. I think that book's a really good sort of. It's like a good manual to point you to the resources, or to point you where to go to sort of get those resources or get those skills. I did like that. I'm trying to think of the best bit about it, really.
Because I've done a sort of, it's like an online course thing through a company called Reliable Education.
Right.
And the guy who runs it, it's about Amazon. Guy who runs it, Adam Hudson. So he has this really weird dichotomy between how hard it is and how easy it is. And I find it unusual, but also really good. So in a lot of his videos, he talks about how damn hard it is to set up a business, like how to force yourself to do work where you don't have to do it, in the sense that like there's nothing making you.
No.
You're not getting paid for it. There's uncertainty as to whether you will get paid for it.
Massively.
Like what you're supposed to be doing is unclear. Like there's no direction. There's no this. And he's like, guys, it's hard. It's hard. Like we understand. I get it. It's like super hard to get out of bed in the morning and like try and do some abstract stuff.
It's a struggle.
But at the same time,
life's one big tragedy.
At the same time, Adam Hudson in other sections, he just goes about how damn easy it is, and he's like, easiest it's ever been in the history of the world to set up a business. That's just a fact. Like the internet makes it. Like you can be naked in your bed at 2 a.m.
easily
talking to Chinese people.
Easily.
Making money.
Just make sure the webcam's turned off, by the way, when you do that.
Yeah. Well, not really. Yeah. But he also talks about he does like daily Instagram things and stuff like that. And he was talking shit the other day about how he had an idea for an app, and he went and bought a domain name for it, like did a bunch of shit, and got an app development company to make it. He's just like, oh yeah, have $100,000, like don't think about it, because he's got the money to throw around. He's just like, people sit there fucking thinking about their ideas for years. He's just like, I have one, I put the money on the line, people are working on it right now as we speak. I've spent 6 hours of my time. He's just like, it's so fucking easy. Why is everyone sitting on their ass doing nothing? So he has this crazy. And I find it really
also
good that he does this.
Also the amount of online resources you can get as well, or online help.
Yeah,
like
it's everywhere.
There's freelancer.
And it's free.
Yeah.
Like all this shit on YouTube is free. Like
exactly, and you don't need employees necessarily. You can go on Freelancer and find someone in Mumbai to run your admin, or someone in the Philippines to run your call center.
Exactly, it's so easy, but it's so hard at the same time. And it's true. Like both those things are true. And he's right in both accounts. Like it is so easy. You can actually set up a legitimate business in 6 hours.
Yeah.
If you've got a bit of capital behind you, you've got like the balls.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just so hard to actually be that person that can do that.
Well, it's all. I'll argue as well to say that it's never been easier, but I'd say it also has never been harder, because.
Whoa! All right, go on.
Yeah, because.
Tell me.
Yeah. Okay. So you've got things like AdWords, Facebook ads, YouTube. You're all competing for clicks. You're all competing for. There's so many companies and so many products out there trying to throw their stuff into the web, and you've got to really, 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 really work for the attention of the audience, because we live in the world of instant gratification. People want their thing now. They want the thing now. Netflix. You can binge watch Netflix. You can be lost on your screen on Instagram. If you're running Instagram ads or Facebook ads, you've got to make sure that your ad is on point, and it's going to actually attract attention, because you literally have like probably half a second of before someone sees your ad and goes, oh, next thing, So I'd say it's actually never been harder in a sense. I mean, setting up has never been easy for sure, but I think, getting attention and the actual marketing is quite hard. And a lot of people outsource their AdWord campaigns or their SEO, search engine optimization, to sort of other companies because they need, technical sort of maths experts to sort of run the analysis. Having said that though, I'd say the hardest thing about marketing is probably creating the content, which is why I had so much fun with Tutoroo. But when you get creative and really delve into what you need to do, that can be really good fun. But having said all that, I've been following a guy called Sam Ovens for probably about 3 years now.
Sam Ovens.
I
haven't heard about him.
He's interesting, yeah. He's a Kiwi. He just turned 30, but he set up like a online consulting business in New Zealand, and now he works from New York. You may have come across him.
I do know him.
You do know him?
I think so.
Yeah. He sort of he raises the point that yes, okay, that it's very hard to get attention because there's so many people with their own businesses, competing for all these different products. But he raises the point that all this marketing is all well and good, but you need to really be product and service orientated. Because I totally understand what he's saying, because
totally agree.
Because if you put most of your energy, yes, you do need marketing, yes, you do need sales, all that stuff, but if you put all your energy and focus into the quality of the product and the service and continually work on improving it through collecting data, lean startup, and feedback and everything like that, if you create the best possible product that you can, other people would use it and go, yes, this is great. I don't care if I'm paying an extra $10 for it because this is on point. This is helping me. This is solving problems in my life, or this is a solution for whatever problem it is that's going on for either my business or my personal life. And when that happens, then they refer. And I find that most people use a product because they're being referred, that someone's referred it to them.
Right.
So if you create a really good product and a really good customer experience, then that customer's going to go, great, hey, you use this. So I think we're in a stage where yes, it's never been easier. It's also never been harder, which is why people need to become as product and service orientated as they can, rather than just trying to compete for likes on Instagram. And that's changed a lot. That change has already been taking place.
Yeah, right.
But yeah.
Interesting. Do you know who'd you say? Sam
Ovens.
Sam Ovens. Do you follow Gary Vaynerchuk as well?
Who?
Gary Vaynerchuk? Gary V.
I've heard of him. Who's he?
Okay.
Who's he again?
He's basically like his big stick is like content, Instagram, Facebook, all the social medias. Like I think he was an angel investor in Facebook early on. Just content, like amount of content, like valuable content, just like out there is like the number one way to building brand. Yeah. And that's like all he advocates for, like just like hardcore volume, right? To get attention. Yeah. And it's an interesting take on it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's the take. What's his name again?
Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary V is like
Gary V. All right. I'll look into that. But that's the philosophy I had with Tutoroo to start with. Rather than working on the products at all.
Right.
I was all about that marketing.
I didn't think he'd back that up.
I was all about that marketing.
Yeah, okay.
And I loved it.
So he runs a marketing company.
Right, okay, yeah. No, but it works. It does work. 100%. And we tried to one way what we try to do, as you said, create content that's valuable for people. We created a blog that helped people study, that gave studying tips and things like that.
Yeah, right.
So we tried.
That's cool.
We were very big on that philosophy, and I'm still very big on it today. But
on the blog, is it still running, the blog?
Oh no! But like the philosophy of creating
that got killed later.
Yeah, definitely. But the philosophy of creating valuable content that drives people into it and go, all right, cool. Oh, what's this? Oh, it's a product service.
Right. Okay,
yeah. So, that's definitely. I'll say that philosophy is probably still prevalent.
Yeah. Right.
But at the same time, I think product and service orientation is just as important.
Where were we? Books. What other books? Can you think of any more?
Yeah, books. A few rabbit holes there, wasn't there? Oh, I can't think.
Business books. Doesn't have to be business books, actually.
Okay.
Philosophy, even. Any classics?
Ooh. Oh, The Art of War. That's good.
Oh, I haven't read that yet.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
good. I mean, it's one might think, oh, what does it's written by Sun Tzu. What would
Sun Tzu, that's right.
What would a ancient Chinese expert on war
Think
know
about.
anything about modern day business? But it's interesting. One of my favorite ideas from The Art of War was know your enemy and know yourself. And in 100 battles, you'll never be in peril. I think that's the quote. But what I like about that is it's so true. You need to know yourself more than anything else. You know, do I have it in me to actually do this? Am I taking on too much? Can I handle this? And because if you don't know yourself, there's no way in hell you're going to know the competition. Or if you can't do battle, if you don't know what you can do, or if you don't know what you can handle at that specific time, you definitely don't know what your competition can handle.
Right. Okay.
So, and that's one thing that's very important to me, because you do need to say, okay, what can I do with the resources that I have, and am I capable of doing this, and can I really dedicate this much time?
That is important. What am I capable of doing with the resources I have
exactly
right now?
Yeah, that's it. And then also prioritizing as well. So then, okay, what is the priority? Is it the product? Do I need sales? Do I, what do I need? What's the most important thing right now? And that's the energy I should be dedicating my time into. So, for example, True, I would have put more energy into the actual product than the actual marketing if I could go back and do it again. But and even in your own life as well, because I've tried to balance studying and running businesses, and at the end of the day, I know myself now that I can't do both.
I've learned that.
I'm inherently lazy. There's only so much time in the day, and there's only so much.
I don't know if it is laziness though. I think it. So I'm the same. So I started this Amazon thing December. Yeah. And really kicked ass until uni started, and then for about 2 weeks, the beginning of semester, I could do both simultaneously. Yeah. And then it was pick one, and like I picked uni. I'm in the last year, so I'm like, all right, I'll put this in the back burner for a bit, and literally did
Smart
nothing
thing to do.
until like the day my last exam finished, and then it just like took over. Yeah. And I was like equally as busy and freaked out during my entire semester break. I actually went to Brisbane for a conference. Reliable Education put it on. Oh wow. Which is like the best. I met a bunch of people.
Goodness me. What did you learn from that?
Eric, Sam, Jai, boys. I basically got a group of kids over east that are doing the same thing as me. Yeah. So we jump on, we got a Facebook chat and stuff like that. That was by far the most valuable thing I got out of the entire event. It's just meeting other people doing it. Yeah. It was a fantastic experience. Brilliant. Awesome. Yeah. And got to go to Brisbane.
Of course.
It's good. But uni's come back in, and it's just like the exact same things happen. Like within weeks, it's just like you have to pick one, or you just fail at both instead of one.
Which comes, know what you can do, know what you can
right.
Know what you can take on, know what you are it's not just about capability, it's also about knowing your limits. Like
people do way harder stuff all the time. Like, that's what I keep telling myself. I know. I'm such a pussy. But, like some people work 8-hour jobs and then start Amazon businesses. Yeah. It's like
I think that as well. But to be honest, I think you got to also not beat yourself up about it, because some people, everyone has their own different sort of personality traits. Also as well, I think it's a continual improvement. Like you could just do a little bit more the next day, and it's just sort of like building sort of that, I guess, building your muscles, your sort of willpower muscles, if you like.
Hustle muscle.
Yeah, hustle muscle. Yeah. But it's important that you do know what you can do, and you do know your limits, and like you go, okay, am I really gonna do this all day, then do this all day, and then not do anything fun? Because you'll get so sick, you'll basically put yourself in a prison, and you begin to resent the things that you're doing because you're not enjoying it, and then you begin to resent yourself for putting yourself in that position, and then nothing gets done, and you just end up miserable. So you've got to really be careful of how you of what you prioritize and what you want to do and what goals you have and what you want to get out of it as well.
Have you read any Jordan Peterson?
Of course.
Yeah, right,
yeah.
okay.
You're hearing it come out.
Don't be your own slave.
Yeah.
I can't do a Canadian accent.
You're hearing it come out, aren't you? Yeah. Actually, that's a great book. I did read 12 Rules for Life last year.
Good book. Yeah.
I
went and saw him talk actually. When he came
really?
to yeah.
Oh, I was
good.
going to go, but I didn't really get around to it.
Yeah, they sold out quick. Right. Let's talk a bit of philosophy for a bit. So you've done you're just about to finish your degree. You've got a couple of summer units left to do.
That's right. Yeah.
But it isn't actually a major in philosophy, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So what's your favourite unit so far? What's your favourite topic of philosophy? And what units have you done?
Oh, okay. So
there's 3 questions there.
What's my favourite unit and what's my favourite topic?
Well, just what units have you done?
So I did decision theory this semester.
Yeah.
I'm doing bioethics, which is the second.
Are you doing that at the moment?
Yeah, I'm doing that.
Who's taking that right now?
Professor, it's called Michael Rubin. This other guy.
Oh, Michael Rubin, yeah.
Yeah.
And Michael Schrader.
That's right.
Yeah. How's that going?
Good.
It's depressing, isn't it? Oh, it's a heavy topic, bioethics.
It's very heavy.
Start with death,
very
abortion,
yeah, it's very heavy.
Disability, and it just gets heavier and heavier and heavier.
Well, yeah, and you've got to. These are important ethical questions that we need to discuss.
Yeah.
And
I honestly think that unit should be compulsory for a ton of medical students and.
Oh, definitely.
Because just the deep philosophical questions about things like even disability and what constitutes an illness or being worse off than someone else. Medical students devote their entire career to this sort of stuff and don't give any thought to the fact that to any of the philosophical questions surrounding disability, and it's kind of strange.
I feel that's the case for all majors and all things. There's not enough philosophy in anything.
Yeah, I totally agree.
When you think about it, philosophy is the core foundation of everything that we know. Before there was science, there was philosophy. Philosophy invented the scientific method, arguably, or came out of philosophical reasoning.
Yeah, and now we're learning maths is philosophy. So.
Oh, it is. It's in the logical process, I guess. You can go the way an argument's structured. That's very mathematical. You got the premise.
But also very literary at the same point.
It is, but the logic. There's like
it's the meeting point.
Yeah, or philosophy is I've always seen the meeting point between as you said, the more narrative.
Literary fields.
Yeah, the more literary narrative fields like history and literature and everything, and then into the maths and sciences as well, because it's all about logic. It's all about reason. Absolutely. But it's really cool because you can then. You don't realise it, but there's stories and literature also. The really good ones have sort of a philosophical foundation to it. I can't really give you an example. There's plenty of examples.
Have you read Crime and Punishment?
I haven't, no.
That's a good book.
I haven't, no.
It's my favourite.
Oh yeah? What did you take off from that?
I had dreams that I was the main character for almost 2 weeks after I finished it.
Goodness me.
It took me 3 months. It's a big book.
You had dreams that you were...
I had dreams that I was the main character consistently for weeks. That's
profound.
Well, and I can't even tell you what I got out of it, to be honest, but it's a really good read.
Wow, goodness.
It's pretty long, but it takes a while. You gotta smash through it. But Dostoevsky. I've just read The Brothers Karamazov as well. But really philosophical. He is essentially a philosopher. That's also just happens to be a genius at writing novels. Yeah. And I think the way he structures his novels is he has ideas, and then he gives them characters, and then walks them around in his in Russia, in his world.
Well, I think that's why some of the best works of art, whether it be in literature or visual arts or film, the really good ones have a meaning to it.
Well, yeah.
And the meaning has a philosophical foundation or basis, whether it be a question on ethics or questions on morality, a lot of existential questions on existence. Like say Inception, or that's probably a bad example. But
so you've done bioethics. What did you do last year? What unit?
Last year I did philosophy of science, which I really enjoyed.
With Chris?
Yeah.
Oh, I love Chris.
And
shout out to Chris.
What did I do? I did philosophy of language.
With class?
With class.
Yeah. I missed out on that one.
That's very good. And the time travel one was that one.
Oh yeah, metaphysics. Right?
Metaphysics.
Yeah, with us, with class as well.
That was really cool. That was.
Did that last year? First semester. I would have been in your class then.
You did first semester.
Yeah. Or was it second semester?
Mine was second semester.
Oh no. Yeah.
Well, my attendance was 0 that year.
Oh right. Okay.
Semester. Yeah.
I was in that class.
Yeah.
Then.
I didn't go to any lectures. I went to one shoot because I was running the business, so I literally just did my lectures and handed in my essays and just smashed out.
The tutes were so good though.
I know that's one of my biggest regrets, because you don't really.
The
best way I find to really understand philosophical concepts is to talk about them. I think.
Right, for sure.
Like we're doing now, but you can
down.
read it as much as you want and find it fascinating, but it's so much better to sit down and actually have a conversation.
Metaphysics was like one of my favorite units. That's like a great unit, especially when it gets into like personal identity and time and space-time worms.
Definitely,
David Lewis, baby. But I didn't get to do philosophy of science either. I would have really liked to do that one, but
it's fantastic,
it just didn't line up. Because Chris only came 2 years ago. No, sorry, a year ago.
I think his first
year. That would have been his
he
first
came last
semester.
Year, yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
It's really sort of interesting to see how that one day there's a possibility that all science can be reconciled.
Yeah.
Or conjoined together. So you can sort of reconcile physics and chemistry. I'm sure there's lots of sciences in the way and there's lots of discoveries and things that need to be made to reconcile them completely. But there's some really. I recommend a philosopher called Fodor, where he talks about sort of.
Fodor. Yeah, I've read a bit of him.
Yeah, he discusses how it's hard to explain, but how all science can eventually be sort of integrated once we discover new fields that bridge sciences together.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Like say for example we've got psychology, but it's still quite abstract. It's more of a social science.
For sure.
But then we have and then we have biology. In the middle of that we've got neuroscience, and then what else? What other fields and other discoveries will we need to make before we can completely link psychology to biology?
Right.
I mean, I think there's lots of evidence to suggest that there's lots of connections.
Pharmacology.
Obviously. Oh yeah, of course.
That's right in the middle of those two, isn't it?
Pharmacology.
For sure. Neuropsychopharmacology. That's my other major, by the way.
Neuropsychopharmacology.
Well, no, it's just pharmacology.
Or just pharmacology, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, neuropharmacology is a thing, and that's like a bit closer.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I want to do my honours with Chris, and I want to do it on neuropharmacology, but like from a philosophical perspective.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in like drug treatments for psychiatric conditions.
Yeah.
So I want to try and land as close as I can in the middle of the
so
hard
you might,
scientific but still philosophy.
That's interesting.
Sort of.
So see how psychedelics or.
Yeah, it just I'm like super broad drug treatments. Obviously, that's what Chris is interested in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what his main.
Oh, there's
PhD
suggested that. What was it? I think Jordan Peterson was talking about a study that people who had taken LSD ranked in higher levels of openness than they had before. So openness is
I have read that study.
I'm not qualified to. Don't quote me on any of this. I'm not qualified at all to.
Have you done a big? This is just like random tangential. Have you done the personality test, like Big 5 personality traits?
I have.
Yeah, that's super interesting. What did you think about that? Was there anything like because?
My only concern is that I wasn't honest enough with it. I feel like I went into it going.
Oh, really?
I tried to be I think I was honest as I could, but I think the real challenge with that test is making sure that you you do it by second nature. You go, yeah, I'm definitely that. Yeah, you don't do it to try and get a certain outcome. Which I think at the back of my head, I was like, no, I'm definitely this, so I'm gonna click that. It's like, are you though? Are you really that?
I didn't even factor in when I was doing it. I didn't even think about that.
What did you rank in? Do you remember?
I mean, like, I can't remember exact. I remember the thing that surprised me is I was like really low on politeness. Apparently, I'm a really like.
Really? I think you're a nice guy.
Exactly. That's what I thought. I was like, oh no, I'm not impolite, but I think with a lot of those things, they mean different things. They don't mean politeness is in how you use manners.
No.
They mean like mannerisms and like how you interact.
It's interesting as well because I think some people rank in, say, people might think that someone would rank high in extroversion, but they're actually rank high in introversion instead. And what appears as extroversion isn't extroversion. It's something else. Again, I'm not qualified or don't know enough of this stuff. I'm just pulling things out of my brain.
Again, I'd say I would be an extroverted person.
Yeah.
But like, I'm pretty much like completely average between introvert, extrovert, like according to this pretty extensive test. And I think it is fairly reliable. I'm not cut up about its accuracy.
No. Well, the thing is, it's not the be all end all as well, because there are changes you can make in your life to compensate for certain personality
Even
traits.
Just knowing about your tendencies to do things.
Yeah.
You can consciously implement.
Know yourself.
Yeah.
Know yourself.
Oh, right. Yeah, we're back to Okay. That's
Sun
great.
Tzu. Yeah.
Sun Tzu. The big man.
Know yourself. I think because my problem is I noticed this as well. I'm very low in industriousness, which I think is the measure of how sort of efficient and how much work you can do.
Right.
It's a type of conscientiousness.
Yeah, I was just below
conscientiousness, you've got
middle.
Industriousness and orderliness. I was reasonably average in orderliness, but I was quite low in industriousness. I think that makes sense. I do find it hard to focus. I find it very hard to focus.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting one for like startup, like business making, entrepreneurship, because it's like, how industrious do you have to be? Very? But is that right though? Because like the sheer amount of work you're able to put in, like to me, like the idea of running my own business is not working when I don't want to. Like that's the whole point, is like self-choice. And I'm not even sure that's a good reason
that's
to
interesting.
actually want your own business.
Well, that's interesting because it depends. Well, I guess there's a few questions there. So there's reasons as to why you're setting your business up, and then there's, do you need a certain personality trait? I think to start with, you do just need to work hard whether you like it or not. And then once you build your enterprise, you bring in more industrious people to run certain systems for you. And then you go, yep, cool, you're that, and then you become good at delegating and managing and everything. Yeah. But
see, my girlfriend's very industrious.
Right.
She does uni like a maniac, and it doesn't, like, when she's under pressure, she'll just keep going, like no matter. She'll just keep going till like 12 o'clock at night studying. It doesn't matter how much stuff you give me. I will stop at 6 o'clock and I'll be like, I'm done. Like my brain feels like shit right now, and I'll just go to sleep. Like I'll just finish, and it actually doesn't matter if it's due. Like,
you'll go fuck
like,
it.
I don't care. It's like it's over.
I'm a bit like that as well.
And I feel like that is a lack of industriousness, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna be bad at like putting in the work over the long term, like starting a business, because
that's what all this
sometimes you need to be able to stop, and you need to be able to pick the things. Okay, I'm only going to work 6 hours today. What things do I need to do? Yeah. Right. It's not just like hammering without.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Without knowing what you're doing.
It's not for everyone, and the reality is that it is a lot of hard work, and it's going to be hard work, and it's going to it takes a lot of discipline.
It takes way longer than people think too.
Definitely. Going back to what you said, when in terms of personality traits and business, I think Jordan Peterson talks about this a lot. Usually you got the sort of very high in openness, high in creativity personality traits that are the entrepreneurs. and set it up, and then once they've got it off the ground, then they bring in conscientious people or that rank high
to keep it going. Yeah.
To run the system and go, okay, they might not be very creative, but they're very like bam bam, yes, we can do this. So look at Richard Branson, for example. I mean, he's he's a mad hippie
mad scientist
out there sort of guy, but he's not the CEO of any of his companies.
No.
Not at all.
Is it a fact? Is he actually not CEO of any of them?
He's the chairman of the Virgin Group, but he's not the CEO.
Right.
He hasn't been. I don't think he ever. He may have. I can't remember. I don't know if he has been for years. But but that's the point. It takes a creative, gutsy, ballsy person to go out and do it and put their money where their mouth is and sleep on the floor for 3 years to actually do it. Not a lot of people want to do that, and for good reason. I don't blame anyone for not wanting to do that at all. It takes sort of a madman, if you like, to sort of go out and do it, and then once they've sort of established it and worked their absolute balls off, and finally have money to pay other people to run things for them, then they bring in smarter people than them to run it. And I think that's how you do it.
It's the model.
It's the model, I guess, yeah. And then you as the entrepreneur, you go, okay, now I can go be creative again and set up another business, or I'm making money on the side, I can go off and read philosophy for the rest of my life, or paint landscapes or whatever.
That's the thing that never happens though, is it? Like, that's the thing that never happens. People, I'm gonna work. Like, so about the FIRE movement, the financial retire early. What is it? Financial independence, retire early. Have you heard about that?
Yeah.
Okay, so people, they work like fuck. They work 12-hour days. They make as much money as they can, and they don't spend anything.
Yeah.
And the idea is we'll save up 75% of our income and retire as early as possible.
Yeah.
And then they retire, and what do they do? They've been working 12 hours a day for their whole lives. That's what they know. And now they've got money, but they never spent it.
Yeah.
So not only are they not used to spending money, and they're not used to not working.
Exactly. They've got all this. They've got this newfound freedom that it's a shock to the system.
And similarly with entrepreneurs, you'll stop a business. It's like you have to do something. You can't just like.
Well, think about after working 12 hours, after working for sort of 14 hours a day, 7 days a week for the last 5 years. You can't. You can't just walk away from that. It's like a drug. It's like,
yeah.
So I think, but that's the thing though. Most entrepreneurs just set up other businesses.
But I don't. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think you can sell your business and then go read philosophy, right? Because
it depends how much work you want to put into it, I guess. Or I guess
you have to be doing it.
It might not be reading. It'll be doing like some sort of thesis or doing some groundbreaking, hard grafting thinking.
So I want to make sure that I'm doing philosophy at least semi-continuously.
Oh, I think
for as long
definitely.
as it takes.
And I will try as well. Yeah, I think it's very important.
Yeah, and it is good. We've come like full circles now. I've gone back to philosophy somehow.
Fun fact, and here's an interesting
fact.
thing. So, I don't know if it's a fun fact, but I was watching this video the other day, and if you go on Wikipedia and you just keep clicking links, within 3 or 4 links you'll get to a page. You'll get to philosophy. Just the page of philosophy.
I think I've heard this.
I don't know how many clicks, but if you keep going, because obviously so
surely it can't be 3 or 4.
It's probably not. No, it might be about 10 or 20. Okay. But you will always end up with philosophy. That will be like that's like philosophy's here. Everything else is there. And I think once you get the foundation of thought in you and the foundation of how everything is connected, because everything is connected.
That's really nice conceptually. I wonder how can we actually test to see if any Wikipedia page will actually eventually lead you to philosophy? Is there some sort of computer test we can do that'll click through every single Wikipedia page and see how many clicks it takes to get to philosophy? Because that'd be a super interesting experiment.
We could do it ourselves, I guess, but it would just take a long time.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna try that.
Yeah, but apparently, it does all come to philosophy, and I think philosophy is the basis of all thought. It is, how. Here's a good analogy. Like, when you're a kid, I definitely did this a lot, and there's a few kids in my life sometimes as well. I've got younger cousins. I volunteer occasionally for this children's charity. They ask you questions. You go, why are we doing this? Oh yeah. Or like, why are you sweeping the floor? And you go, because we need to clean up. Why does it have to be clean? You go, because, you know, we don't want bacteria. You know, we want a clean environment, you know. Why do we want a clean environment? Goodness me. And children do go down that rabbit hole of epistemology, metaphysics, everything. And you go, once you do keep questioning things, you know, even with physics, you go, so why did... It's just about asking why all the time. You go, okay, why does that fall when I drop it? Oh, because of gravity. Oh, why is there gravity? Oh, because of the, I don't know, whatever, you know.
Yeah,
Newtonian,
is there gravity?
yeah, Newtonian, Einsteinian physics, whatever. And you go, why is that there? Why is that there? And then you start questions of being, questions of existence, and then you go, why is that? Or why does that define being? Or why does that define existence? And if you think about it, and then this makes sense as well with the Wikipedia analogy, if you keep asking the question, you will always end up at a philosophical, at some sort of philosophical question. And and this is what they say. They say philosophy is what they leave to the is what the scientists can't figure out. Anything that science can't figure out, they leave to the philosophers. And even the philosophers can't figure it out. But that's it. Philosophy is the foundation of it all, of all thought, of human thought.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's why you should do a major in philosophy, guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Because it would always be there, and especially in the world of continuous automation and things. There's going to be some careers that will be harder to get into. You can see law and engineering slowly disappear.
Yeah, I think philosophy, because there's a big joke about how you're going to get a job with philosophy. I don't think that's true.
No.
I don't think it will be true.
No, you got to remember as well.
Soon.
Philosophy is one of the hardest majors as well at university.
Yeah,
it's up there with physics. I mean, it doesn't seem like it, but it's considered very.
It's really difficult, yet somehow a low workload. I've found.
Yeah.
Compared to a lot of the science subjects, it's like just low workload, but like insane, intense difficulty. Yeah.
Lots
it's just a lot of sitting down.
Trying to work out the concepts in your head as well.
But another interesting, they're almost by definition that you can't have an automated philosophy. Whether a ton of these degrees teach jobs that can foreseeably become obsolete.
Exactly, but also with philosophy, the critical thinking skills you gain from it are just amazing.
They're valuable.
I mean, I've walked into various jobs here and there, or even with business, when it comes to making decisions, you learn.
Get a bit of decision theory out, whip a bit of Bayesian logic out of it.
Thanks, Remco.
Probably not, though. Probably not, though.
I know you won't get that. I don't think it goes. It doesn't.
We'll see if game theory
it's more
helps
like
my
critical
chest.
thinking and sort of, looking at data and just being able to just genuinely think. And I'm quite confident that I could walk into a job, provided that it's not a job that you actually need a genuine profession for. I'm fairly confident I could walk into, say, a finance job, a sales job, any sort of business job, and go, okay, I can think my way into this. I can learn this stuff. I might not have any experience, but I can learn it.
Conceptually grasp.
And I'll listen. Yeah. And I think that's one of the good things about philosophy, and I think employers smart ones anyway, will notice that and will take that on board.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
So, I think we've got about 15 minutes left or something. So, what about travel? You've done a bit of travel. I didn't know that. You said you went to Croatia? Is that what you said?
Yeah. So that was.
Tell me about travel.
Travel?
Yeah, what have you done?
It's interesting. Well, I've done a lot of moving. That in itself is
That's travel.
That's a lot of travel.
I'm moving house in 3 weeks. So
yeah.
Probably not as far as you, but.
Yeah, well, I've moved between England and Australia about 5 times.
What do we call you?
Ping pong pom. Yeah. That's brilliant. That's a very good metaphor. So moving around a lot. I was lucky because my dad's business was very successful growing up, so I've been quite lucky to. We had a bit of disposable income to do a bit of travelling, and we went to.
Yeah, cool.
We visited Australia a lot because obviously my mum's family's here. We also went to France all the time and.
Wicked.
Islands off Spain.
Do Do you speak any other languages at all?
No,
No?
that's unfortunately not, but I would like to one day, that'd be good.
I don't either, and I have an obligation to learn French in the next 8 months. It's going to be tight.
Yeah. Done Southeast Asia.
Oh, really? Okay.
And Eastern Europe back in July, and I went to the Ukraine. That was a very cool place.
With a mate?
No, I did Croatia with a mate.
Okay.
And we also did Prague for 2 nights, but
yeah.
I did most of it by myself.
Okay, tell me about that, because I'm super interested in Eastern Europe. When did you go? You went...
I went...
Last year?
No, this year.
This year?
This year, yeah. So I did late June, and I came back on the beginning of August.
How long did you take?
How long was the whole trip?
Yeah,
About 5 weeks, 6 weeks.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
No, I really wanted to visit Eastern Europe to sort of see how, post-communist post-communist countries had
really interesting.
Had developed, yeah. So that's quite a funny analogy. Post-communist companies. I don't think that.
Not sure quite.
Yeah, can you get one? I don't know, but the Ukraine was interesting because they're actually not part of the European Union, so they don't actually get funding to build sort of their sewer systems and their transport network. So the Ukraine's interesting. It's like a post-dystopian world. It's like there was a massive totalitarian dictatorship there, and it's like and when you look at it, you're like, this is what's risen from the ashes, and it's like, it's weird. It's like it's still very third world, but you can see that they're trying, and I think it has a lot of potential. It's a very divided country, so it's got a very long way to go. But yeah,
how was just traveling there? Like how long did you spend there? And like
in the Ukraine?
Where did you stay? Yeah, in the Ukraine.
I just stayed in a hostel, but I was there for 5 days.
Yeah, okay.
I went to Chernobyl. That was weird.
You went to Chernobyl?
Yeah.
Is that in Ukraine?
Yeah. It's.
I thought it was in Russia. I mean, it was in Russia. I thought it was still in like Russian territory now.
Oh no.
So it's in Ukraine. Okay.
Yeah, it's in Ukraine. It's a town about 2 hours out of Kiev.
So you did a tour through there?
Yeah.
What do they call it? Radioactive tourism?
Yeah, that was...
nuclear tourism.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend...
You wouldn't recommend?
I'd recommend it because it's interesting, but it wasn't a very... I wouldn't say it was a very smart thing of me to do, going to a radioactive...
it's fine.
Exclusion zone. I was very skeptical. I was thinking, am I one of those naive tourists? Come on, you're a smart man. Smart people don't do these things. So, bugger it, I'm here now. But I was very careful. And
was it dodgy? Out in Chernobyl?
Yeah.
Or like the tour guide? I'm talking about like
the actual town.
Yeah, because
it's like an abandoned town. It's like that spot. It's very interesting to get. Why I wanted to go was to get a perspective of like what a post sort of nuclear fallout world would look like, and it's weird. Like it's over. There's so much vegetation and there's wildlife there now, and there's all these abandoned buildings. And there was an abandoned nursery that was creepy. There's all these little beds and it's like, oh, dude. But yeah, it was cool.
That's pretty awesome. I never thought about going to Chernobyl.
I had my objective of the trip wasn't really like a piss up sort of Kentucky travel kind of holiday.
I hear about that so much.
I wanted a weird sort of, because I'd been reading quite a bit of I'd been listening to lots of YouTube videos on Carl Jung and the human evil and things, and I thought, look, I want to go to Eastern Europe and see the effect it actually had on these places.
Right.
And I went to Poland as well, and went to Auschwitz because I'd read Man's Search for Meaning, and I thought I've got to check that out.
Right.
And
okay.
Went to Birkenau as well, and I was also started reading Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, and that made me sort of want to sort of see what a sort of a totalitarian sort of system could look like. And it's interesting.
Have you read 1984?
I haven't, no. It's on the reading list.
That's a staple.
I've got a very big reading list to get through, yeah. But yeah, Birkenau, which is the actual labour camp, fascinated me.
In Poland?
Yeah. So it's just down the road from Auschwitz.
Okay.
So I went to Auschwitz and then we went to Birkenau. But it's interesting how Birkenau was structured. They had it's a giant camp. It's humongous. But how it was all set up, it wasn't the guards and running
Was that where they filmed Schindler's List?
parts of it. Yeah, but they had to film it from the other side. It's interesting.
Because there was the office buildings in the background.
No. There was no office buildings. I think they.
Okay, so,
You're not allowed to
in
film.
Auschwitz there is, which is why they couldn't film part of Schindler's List in Auschwitz. So they filmed it at like a labour camp just outside.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Also,
pretty sure that.
also in Birkenau, they filmed it outside of Birkenau. They couldn't film it inside. 'Cause
Okay.
It's like it's a memorial pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
So, you know, there was some.
Have you seen that movie?
I have, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. I actually went to the place in Krakow where they filmed it as well.
Yeah.
Parts of it.
Yeah.
There's a whole Jewish quarter there actually. But yeah, Birkenau fascinated me because the whole system of Birkenau, it wasn't just the guards against the prisoners. There was a whole hierarchy of prisoners. Like they were very evilly clever of how they set it up. So they had about 4,000 guards at Birkenau, and then they'll have like the top prisoners that the guards would instruct what to do. Then these prisoners would instruct others, and so the prisoners were imprisoning themselves almost. So it was like a whole inbuilt system of it was like its own sort of society with its own hierarchy of prisoners.
Crazy.
It wasn't. You think, when you look at it, you think, it's the guards telling the prisoners, forcing the prisoners to work and then exterminating them. It wasn't that at all. It was the prisoners forcing the prisoners to work and the prisoners having to exterminate each other or sort of clean up after each other. And it's weird, very odd. And you sort of think,
So that was in Poland. So you went to
that was in Poland,
Ukraine?
Yeah.
Is that where you went first? Like, what's the order?
Yeah, well, I went to the UK first to visit family, but then I I was in the Ukraine. Poland. So
Then
I started in Warsaw, then went to Krakow, so that was Poland.
Yeah.
And then I went to Austria. And I hated it. I was just there for a night.
Hated Austria.
I didn't hate it. I was only in Vienna. Sorry, sorry Austria. I haven't looked at you.
Sorry, Austria.
Yeah. I went
You
to
were there
Vienna.
for one night.
I went to Vienna.
You got food poisoning, didn't you?
No. I went to Vienna and it was very expensive. And I love the architecture, but I don't know, something about Eastern Europe is just so weird. Like
You just like the nuclear radiation sites and
absolutely,
the concentration camps.
Yeah, give it to me.
Cool.
No.
We know what sort of tourist is. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a show called Dark Tourism.
Right.
It's hell funny. It's
Okay.
it's I don't know. It's kind of a like meme shitty show, but like, it's like tourist things you can do that's like involved in like death and necromancy and like destruction, chaos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just interesting.
That's
Maybe
interesting.
you're a dark tourist, Christian.
I was gonna say, would that also entail like maybe joining some random sort of African rebellion in the Congo or something?
I think
can
there
you
was one.
imagine that? Like he's like, I did a Kentucky, or I went and found myself backpacking in Southeast Asia. Oh yeah, well I joined like some random tribal uprising in the Congo.
It'd be a crazy story though,
Goodness
wasn't
me.
it? So and then Austria, after Austria?
I was only in Vienna for a night because I didn't find
Right.
it very interesting. It's very touristy, and because it's been part of the West for ages, it hasn't got that kind of authenticity to it that the Eastern European countries have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I went to Bratislava and Slovakia after that.
Slovakia. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I went up to Prague just to sort of see a friend, and then we went to Croatia.
What did you do in Slovakia?
Just went on some walking tours really.
Okay.
Checked out old sort of Soviet
Stuff.
run things. Yeah, it was cool. It was nice. Lovely little town. It's the capital, and it's meant to be sort of a city, but it's really a town. It's gorgeous.
Okay. That's cool. And what about Prague? Prague's awesome, apparently. A lot of history there.
It is, yeah.
A lot of history in Prague.
It is. Again, I was just there visiting a friend, so I can't really tell you anything cultural about the place. Nice beer though. That's where Pilsner comes from. So.
Very good. Yeah, a lot of good beer over in Europe.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we should probably wrap it up.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for this, dude. Yeah, that's good. Hey, good
Yeah.
chat. All right, sweet.
Sweet. Awesome.
We're done.